So here's a video I've been wanting to make for a while, and I actually did start it at one point, but you know, I was editing in clips of the games, and it just became a really huge project that I wasn't really willing to take on. So basically just trying to keep this short. I just want to sort of show everyone my collection of old adventure games. Now this isn't going to be a review video by any means. If you're watching this video, I guess it's pretty safe to assume that you've already played most of these, and you're just sort of here for a little bit of nostalgia. So I'm not going to really, go into any sort of in-depth review. And with a lot of these games anyway, I don't buy games that I don't like. So either I like these games or I haven't played them. So, there's really no point in doing a review, just to kind of, go through them and just sort of share my thoughts on them. Anyway, let's get into it. I'm going to try not to spend too much time on each game. Just going to go through it real quick and just sort of give my general thoughts and feelings about them. First one up is Zork Nemesis. It's part of the Zork series, which is, from what I understand, to be honest, I haven't played a lot of Zork games, but from what I understand, some of the earlier games are more humor-based, and this is actually one of where the series sort of takes a turn and sort of shows like a darker side. I played this game originally just a few years ago. I didn't play it when it was first released. I do remember seeing it in the stores though, but like I said, I never really got into the Zork series, so I never picked this up during its original release. But it's a great game. It's a lot of fun. It uses sort of the first-person perspective, and of course it's sort of point and click, like all these games are. And it uses some full motion video to pretty great effect, and it's just a really good story. Science fiction, fantasy. Really, all there is to say about that. It comes on 3 discs, made by Activision. It's kind of funny how it mentions the top Hollywood talent, and I don't think I've ever heard of any of these people. So, yeah, whatever. But it's a great game. Very fun. Okay. Oh, remember these old rating systems? Violence, humans killed. It says partial nudity, but I don't remember any. And language is pretty mild. So, whatever. Next up, we have Harvester. Now, I've actually never played this game. A couple years back, I remember looking up some videos and some screenshots from it, and just based on how crazy it looked, I went and got it. Let's see here. I don't know if you can tell, but it looks like a pretty crazy game. That dude's taking an axe to the head, you got a biker chick shooting a shotgun, and I don't even know what's going on in that picture. But it just looked way too crazy. Kind of sad I missed this during its original release, because the 13-year-old version of myself probably would have had a lot of fun with this. So that's pretty much all I know about that. Next up we have Circle of Blood, as you can see. And I really like sort of this big box look. I sort of miss that about PC gaming. They all come on in smaller boxes now. I understand from a sort of, environmental and cost-effective standpoint that it makes sense to go to the smaller box. It's always good to have less packaging, a lot less waste. But I guess it's sort of similar to how people feel when it comes to, records. They sort of like there's like a lot of pictures, a lot of descriptions, and on the smaller boxes you don't really get that. There's just something lacking, I guess you could say. So anyway, Broken Sword series, Circle of Blood. I believe it also has the alternate title Shadow of Templars? Shadow of the Templar? I don't know, something like that. I know on the PlayStation it was renamed Shadow of the Templars, I think. So, yeah, you can feel free to correct me on any of that in the comments. But anyway, great game. George Stobart had a whole series of games, within the Broken Sword series. Last one that came out was Angel of Death. It was the 4th in the series. I believe it came out, I don't know, geez, has it been 5 years or so? But anyway, it's a great game. Uses sort of the sort of Disney-style animation. Very colorful, very good artwork. It's great. Love it. Here we have, actually, there it is, Broken Sword, the Shadow of the Templar. That was close. This is previously released as Circle of Blood. I remember a while back they came out with these re-releases, these sort of Virgin Interactive re-release games, and they came in these giant white boxes. And I just found this at a flea market. I think they wanted $1 for it, so I just picked it up. Like I said, I'm not a big fan of re-releases, but this actually came out not very long after the original, so I figured it was worth having for $1. And it's got some just crazy stuff on there, like a free CD offer inside. I guess it was teaming up with EMI to offer those, CD club things, which you don't really see anymore. So yeah, I actually own a few versions of this game. You'll see that with a lot of these games. I actually own multiple versions, but we'll get into that. Here we have Phantasmagoria. It's an FMV game. I'm sort of partial to the FMV games. I don't know why. It's the crappy acting or just the overall B-movie feel to it. It just has a certain appeal to me. A lot of developers at the time thought that was the next evolution of gaming is to make them more movie-like. But we all know that didn't really last. It's a pretty good story. It's a very violent game. Some of the best special effects I've actually seen in an FMV game, or just in general. I mean, a lot of movies can't even compare to it. If you want to see them, just go to YouTube and look up, I don't know, Phantasmagoria death scenes. That should probably bring you to them. And just a lot of great special effects, not the CGI crap you see these days. It's actual, makeup effects and latex and lots of good stuff. There is a rape scene in it, and it's sort of, it's right there. There's a huge warning right in the bottom corner. I don't know if you can read that. Yeah, so it says not appropriate for children under 13, but yet it says mature 17 plus, so I'm not really sure if they couldn't decide. But anyway, I remember this when they sold it at GameStop. They usually kept it behind the counter, and you had to ask for it, and it had all sorts of warnings on it, and you usually had to be 18. I remember when I was a kid when I wanted to buy it, I had to have my mom with me in order to get it. This box is a little ripped. It's a little tore up. I found it at a yard sale. I think I paid 50 cents for it. So that was a good deal. And a lot of these games, they go for, anywhere from $25 to $30 all the way up to $80 on eBay. So not a really big fan of paying that much for them, so I try to pick them up at yard sales and flea markets whenever I can. This had a sequel, which I don't own. I did play it though a couple years ago, and it's even crazier than this one. I don't know what to even tell you about the story. There's a lot of dominatrix stuff in it. It's about a dude, and I'm not going to give away the ending, but it's pretty cool. I actually contacted one of the actors in the second one and just told him, I thought he did a good job, and the guy responded. He's a teacher at the college, I believe, teaches acting. He actually responded, so that was kind of cool. And same thing with Broken Sword. I sent an email to the guys at Revolution that developed this game, and just told them I really enjoyed their Broken Sword games, and they actually responded. Really nice guys. So that's cool. I do that sometimes with these games. I seek out people that made them or starred in them, and just tell them that they did a great job, and 'cause they probably don't hear it enough. So I like to give credit where credit's due. Here we have The Dig. It's a pretty popular adventure game, I guess you could say. A lot of the LucasArts games were at the time, and even today. But I never got around to playing The Dig. Again, I found this at a flea market. You can see it's got dust on it. Found it at a flea market. I think I paid $1 or $2 for it. And it still has the box and all that. I do plan on playing it someday. Just haven't gotten around to it yet. Again, love the big box. Opens up. It's got sort of a, I don't know if you can see it, but it has sort of a, I don't know what you want to call it, glossy or one of those holographic card type looks to it. Hard to say. I don't know. It's a sci-fi game, as far as I know. Aliens, that sort of stuff. Great game. I actually saw the softcover novelization of this game a while back at a store, and they wanted a few bucks for it. I think they wanted $5 for it, and it was in great shape, and I passed on it. I'm not sure why. Probably because I hadn't played the game yet, so I figured buying the book was a little ridiculous. So I passed on it, and I always regretted it because it would have been nice to have it with it. But about a year or two later, I was at the flea market that I go to, and found this. It's the hardcover edition, and it was only about $2. So I'm pretty happy I waited and was able to pick that up to go with it. So it's a nice little addition to go with the game. I haven't read the book yet either, though. Not sure if I should read the book or play the game. Probably play the game first and then maybe read the book. I don't know. Maybe I won't ever read it. Who knows? Alright, next up we have Gabriel Knight, Sins of the Fathers. Actually, I own a couple versions of this, which you'll see later. Great game. I would have to say the Gabriel Knight series is probably one of my favorites. Really love the storylines and just the humor, the way it's intermixed with the mystery sort of side of it, and it's just great. Tim Curry does the voice of Gabriel Knight, and there's a character named Detective Mosley, who's voiced by Mark Hamill, so you got some star power there. And there's actually a second Gabriel Knight game called The Beast Within. We'll get to that in a second. But in the second one, they drop Mark Hamill. Well, Detective Mosley isn't in that game at all, and Tim Curry. They use a live actor instead, so Tim Curry doesn't really look like Gabriel Knight. So that I can understand why they didn't use him. But to me, Tim Curry is Gabriel Knight, and he does great with the voice. And if there's any series that I would love to see some new content for, it would definitely be the Gabriel Knight series. So, Jane Jensen, if you're watching this, please make another Gabriel Knight game. I mean, if they can keep making the Broken Sword games, then hopefully you can convince someone to put up the cash, because I'll definitely buy it. But please, don't make it a 3D action platformer, none of that. Keep it original. Alright, next up, we have Gabriel Knight, The Beast Within. Just talked about this a little bit. This makes the leap from sort of the animation style to the full motion video. Again, this is the mid to late 90s, so there's sort of a transition to the full motion video games. It comes on 6 discs, which is sort of common for these types of games. I believe Phantasmagoria came on even more, 7 discs. So, there was a lot of disc switching back in those days. Very rarely did you find a game that had full motion video that just came on 1 or 2 discs. And even the video quality wasn't that great. A lot better than the Sega CD, though, if you guys remember that, which was sort of just a small box with very terrible video quality. This was a little bit better. I guess making multiple disc games for the PC was easier than the consoles at the time. So, anyway, it's a great game. Like I said, they don't use Tim Curry or Mark Hamill, but that's alright. It's still a great game in its own right. Sort of lacks the humor, I would say, that the other games had. Still has some, but not quite as good. But yeah, it's a great story. Sort of works the whole Wagner mystery into it, which is kind of cool. I'm also a Wagner fan, so it's kind of cool to see that intermixed with it. It does have some computer-generated effects, which are pretty terrible, I gotta admit. But it's the mid to late 90s. Can't hold it against them. But it's a great game. I wish I knew what the original price was. I love it when some of these old games have the original price tags on them, because it's kind of cool to see what they retail for. I usually pay more for them now than what they retailed for. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see what the original price on these were. I don't know if any of them that has like a weird inventory number. Don't know where that came from. It's interesting, but yeah, some have prices, some don't. It's cool.